Welcome to the first Automation Engineers Gathering for 2019 and Happy New Year. Please mute unless you intend on speaking. Thank you for being on time, and please note that this gathering is being recorded and the video will be made available to watch later. I'm Dave Hunt, I'm an Automation Engineering Manager for the Firefox Performance Testing team. I started these gatherings as a way to keep up with the latest projects and practices. Format's a monthly gathering with guests to talk about a project they're working on or have worked on. This is the kind of meeting that I like to attend. It didn't exist, so that's the reason I started it, rather selfishly. Please join Automationeers channel on IRC or Slack. These can be used for sharing resources. They can also be used for discussion and questions if you have any. So I try to schedule these meetings every month. The times and dates vary depending on the availability of our guests. We skipped December because of the all hands and holidays, but now we're back to our usual routine. So look out for an invitation for next month. Andrew Halberstadt will be showing how the task graph module helps Mozilla to keep task configuration flexible, maintainable, and easy to use at large scale. I also have some other rather exciting guests lined up for the coming months. If you're interested in being a guest in the future, or have feedback or suggestions for guests, please drop me an email. And so if you just joined us, a reminder, please mute unless you're planning on speaking. And note once more, this event is being recorded. So with that said, I can introduce our guest. Hamlet Villa has been contributing to Mozilla for almost 2 years. He spent last summer working as an outreachy intern on the project he'll be sharing with us today. Hamlet's located in Brooklyn, New York, and only discovered his passion for coding after a brief time as an EMT and working in the family business of commercial printing. So please join me in welcoming Hamlet as our guest.
Thank you, Dave. Hi, everyone. As Dave said, my name is Hamlet, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Dave, for the invitation, and I see some familiar faces in that. So Dave said, I've been with Mozilla for almost 2 years in March, and my time there has been focused on working on accessibility projects under Matt, and afterwards with Ira from the accessibility team in Toronto. So the focus of my project during the outreachy internship was the improvement of image content accessibility. So there's tons of images, as everyone knows out there online, and it seems that the only accessibility feature for an image tag is for it to have an alt attribute, and the alt attribute is, it's just a brief blurb of what the image contains. Sometimes it doesn't even have that, or it's not a very good description. And so the focus of the work was to have an extension that improves image accessibility beyond the alt attribute, which is what I guess the previous presentation was called. So what's involved is that, let's see here, my notes, is the use of Tesseract, which is a JavaScript library. It's a port of a Tesseract engine, and that provides the scanning, which goes over everything that's in the image, and we pass that over to the alt attribute. The content being passed to the alt attribute is a sort of a temporary workaround, because eventually we're to want to not alter the alt attribute at all. And the latest of the work that I've done, which is in the repo, does have the scanned content being passed into an invisible node, basically a paragraph tag, basically, and so that the actual alt attribute of the image is not affected. It just so happens that the last of the work that I did on the repo, which was unfortunately back in December, there's been some different things happening in everyday life that I haven't been able to get back on the work, which I do plan to at the end of this month. But it's currently broken. I do have a local copy of the repo that it is working, and I will be showing you a demo based on that. But it's not the latest code, so I just have to go back to the latest code eventually that's in the repo, and I think it's something with the manifest that I need to change. Anyway, so with that said, what I will get to a demo and do a screen share. But I wanted to mention actually before I go on to that so the extension is really to be used in images, sort of like comics, memes, diagrams, documents. Um, uh, it works in any of those. It has there are some issues that come up, say with memes specifically, where because of the type of font that memes use, the scanning is not very accurate. There are ways to improve that. I'm sure you'll see in the repo all the GitHub issues that are on there, and one of those is to improve the accuracy of scanning. But anyway, I will go on to share my screen now. Let's see. Okay, I hope you can all see that. And I'm going to start fresh here and just go to about debugging. Like I said, I'm using a pared down earlier version of the repo, which is working, and you'll be able to see the functionality of it. The repo that's on GitHub now, it's a later version. Again, unfortunately, it's not working at the moment because of something with the manifest, I think. But it's still the same functionality. Let's see, we're gonna load the manifest here. Okay, so that's that loaded perfectly fine. There's a little logo, and here it is as well. Okay, so we're gonna start with. I usually like to go to the New York Times here and pick up something. Do a screenshot. Okay. Okay. So we're going to save this, have it as an image. Okay, here it is. I'm going to show the inspector so you can see the changes that happen in the alt attribute in the image. So at the moment, it doesn't have anything. This I learned is a perfectly okay alt attribute, alt value to have. It can be used as a presentation. But for the demo here, we're going to change it. So I have my menu item here, and it's going to start scanning the image. Sometimes, depending on the amount of text that's within the image, it'll take a second or two. And there we go. Okay. So as part of the attribute, we decided that we would add just this bit of text here, possible text, again, just to compensate for the varying degrees of accuracy. In an image like this, it can actually be really, really high, the confidence value. The confidence value is another thing that's not shown in this version of the repo, but in the later one, it does show it, and it does go on to an invisible tag, so that it can be accessed by the screen reader user. So now that this is in the alt attribute, it will be accessible to anyone that's using a screen reader, and they will be able to get the full text in this, but in this case of the image that they have. I was also trying in Amazon. Oops. Books, just to pick up the text from books as well. Where are you? Books. Okay, let's see this one here. And again, they have slightly lower comments percentage here. Or sorry, that's not good. But you'll see some noise. There's a lot of noise in the background here, which will affect the scanning accuracy. So actually, let me show the inspector again. Okay, so the alt attribute there is it's black as well. Let's see what comes up here. Okay, so here we have not very good. So I can make out hope there. And this is one of the drawbacks of Tesseract. More noise or image or some sort of a color or anything that's around the text that we're trying to scan, Tesseract may actually try and pick that up and try to convert it into text, which will give you cases like this, which is just not really usable at all. So part of the newer repo will actually have a condition where if it doesn't meet a certain confidence percentage, it will not show the scanning results. Let me try something else and see if it gets a little bit better. Okay, there we go. Let's see what the alt attribute here is. Where is it? Here we are. Okay, so it actually has the title of the book. So if I scan that, it should start with possible text. So let's see. Okay, there it is. And did it pretty quickly, actually. Okay. All right. And let me go on to a meme so maybe you can see that. Let's see. Let's try this one. Image results for memes. Okay, well, let's see what happens here. Okay, there we are. So again, there's noise here. It tries to read the image, so that's why you get these just basically junk. But you do get all the text that's up here, so it will do that. And I guess that's essentially what the extension will do, and I think it's working relatively fast. Let me go on to my repo here. So this is the actual repo. Again, this is the one that's currently not working. And I wanted to show you that what will happen or how it will be different than what's happening now. So this is what's happening where there will be a new node created for every right click of an image, and it will have different ARIA attributes that it needs to satisfy. ARIA live, and then it will be pushed into some a tag that has an ARIA described by attribute. And Like I said, I think I should now be able to get back to do the work close to the end of this month. And hopefully get it published soon after that. It's been a bit of a long time coming to get this completed. I was hoping to have it done by the Mozilla, but I guess there were different things that came up, and after the Mozilla, I mentioned to Yura that I would have it completed a couple of weeks after, but I've been having some health issues lately, so I hope to be done with that soon. But that's essentially the gist of the extension. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. Let me stop sharing my screen here.
Thank you, Hamlet. That looks awesome. And an impressive live
Thanks.
demo, which turned out to be politically balanced too, I noticed.
Oh, and it worked.
Yeah, awesome. I had a couple
Thank you.
questions, so I'll jump straight
Sure.
in. So at the moment, it's triggered by a right click, and even in the latest version, that sounds like that's still how you initiate the interaction with it. Do you plan
Yes.
on having a mode where it will run automatically against images on the page, or is it always likely to be an interaction?
Well, initially we were looking to have it do it automatically, but I think the way we were going about it, or at least the way that I was going about it, was that it would just pick up all the images in a page, which, as it turns out, it would be too time-consuming, and not all images would have any content to scan, and that would just add to the time that the scanning would take. So, and as a suggestion, Yura mentioned that it would be better to have it where the user just selects what they would like to have scanned. So I think we are going to keep it like that, or just individually scan each image that's desired.
I wonder if there's any potential for crossover with Fathom, which is the extracting meaning from web pages. If there is any way for Fathom to identify images that have a high chance of containing text or of particular interest on a page, it might be interesting to see if we can have it automatically narrow to just that kind of selection. I think it's impressive. There's lots of possibilities that I can think of.
Yeah. I think not just that, but I feel like when I started this project, I thought that it would be very focused on having this one thing done. But I think it has a lot of use, and I think the project itself has, I guess, legs where you can just continue to add features or have it be integrated with other services, I think.
Hamlet,
And that,
I have hey, it's great to see you. It's been too long. We should do a one-on-one. But I have a weekly one-on-one with Eric Rose, who is, as I understand, the lead dev. He's done most of the work on Fathom, a good amount of work on Fathom. I can actually ask him that question if you'd like. So.
sure. Yeah, that'd be great. And yeah, I guess if you'd like me to ask him to, or maybe I can come up with a few questions. If you could write down his IRC, Nick, that'd be great.
Yeah, happy to. We'll connect offline.
All right.
However, for a couple of those examples, there was the text looked like it had been correctly extracted, but then there was that kind of gobbledygook where it was obviously trying to extract text where there wasn't any. Would it? I can imagine it would be possible to maybe filter what you've got and extract things that look like words, and that might even allow you to get the value from those without that noise. Like even the book title, the very first book title, the words,
Right.
most of the words did seem to be extracted correctly, but they just had this noise around them. It feels like that could be filtered and cleaned up as well as like an additional step.
Yeah, you're right. So part of the version 1 that's supposed to be shipped will not have that feature, but there is a way to improve the scanning accuracy, and Tesseract does allow you to first to train it so that you're able to pick up certain fonts, like the meme font, that square blockish font. It's called Impact. So it has a lot of trouble picking that up, but it can be trained. Then, as far as the noise that's created from having text and then an image below it or within it, you can focus Tesseract so that it picks up a certain portion, and thereby cutting out a lot of things that are not words, and that will improve accuracy as well. Then you can also have the color, just make everything into a bitmap, I think it's what's called, so that it's just black and white. That will improve accuracy. Enlarging the image, which is another step that allows it to be it makes it easier for Tesseract to pick up the letters more accurately, and that will improve accuracy too. There's a few other things as well, but those are the major ones. Actually, I think also depending on the image that you select, the spacing between the letters, the space between the words, that will also affect it. There's a lot of different things that come into play, and the outcome of the scanning. I was actually pretty surprised that it was able to pick up all the entire title of the book there and not come up with something in between the title.
Could there also be a feedback loop, so a user can correct it, so to help with its learning and its improvement?
Yes, I think that we briefly touched on having some testing or some user feedback being done. Again, unfortunately, we haven't gotten to that point yet, but I think it can also be something that comes along after version 1 is shipped.
We were going to use test pilot.
Yes.
Which I'm coughing, Hamlet, because it's being shut down as a project.
Oh.
This month, I think. Soon. So.
Okay. Well, maybe something else will come along. As far as shipping version 1, like I said, I was hoping to have it out for Miles Lando, and I was really hoping to get that out, but it's something that I wasn't able to get done. Both Yura and Matt were at Mozilla, and they've been incredibly helpful throughout the whole process. And Yura is actually my JavaScript guru mentor, and so he's been really helpful, and checking that my stuff is working okay and everything is right. I don't think that he knows yet that the latest repo is broken at the moment, but if he doesn't, then I'm sure he will know very soon.
I know you haven't released 1.0, so the answer to this might be obvious, but do you have any users that you're aware of? Do you have people queuing up to use this? I can imagine that it provides a lot of value to certain users.
Well, I guess as far as users or a true user, Jamie Tev, the manager of the accessibility team, he's given me some feedback on there. There are some changes that need to happen because of certain ARIA attributes that he thinks need to be slightly different, which is great to have that feedback because he's obviously more sensitive to what needed on there, and obviously definitely more experience as far as the actual code that needs to be written.
So I was just pausing in case anybody else wanted to jump in with a question. I have one more. I'm curious, what did you find most challenging? What were your biggest challenges in this, and was it what you were expecting to be?
Well, I think the very first challenge from day one, and Matt will know this, is just getting through the WCAG guidelines and the documentation. It's pretty intense. Don't I don't pretend to know much of it still. I'm familiar with some, but reading and familiarizing myself with the guidelines and certain features that was definitely pretty challenging. I think after that, it's really been being able to commit enough time to the work. So after the internship was over, I'm really committed. I definitely have I guess a spot in my heart for accessibility work, whereas before I just didn't know any. But unfortunately, after the internship, I've had to sort of juggle doing work to pay bills and then work, community member work. So I definitely like to continue doing accessibility work and obviously devote more time to it, which is what I'm hoping to do now towards the end of January.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Hamlet. I really enjoyed the demo and your talk. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Just want to say thank you, Hamlet, for all of your work, enthusiasm, insight in helping push our organization, the Services Test Engineering Group, forward, thinking about and integrating accessibility testing into our software design plans. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Matt, thank you. And this has only been possible because, I applied to Outreachy in the first year, and I didn't get in, but I decided, hey, I'm just going to stick around and learn about accessibility. And it was with Matt. He's been along also, and I've been able to see how cool, how cool people are, and very awesome. And like I said, I'm planning to stick around. Very loose.
I'm still here. Just a comment. Last summer, I went to the Perf Matters conference in Redwood City here, summer or I guess early fall. And as part of that, there were at least one, I think maybe a couple, maybe even 3 talks or like breakout sessions about accessibility. Not always specifically as it relates to performance, like they were all about accessibility for the most part. But it was refreshing to me to be at a performance focused conference that's not about like all the tooling and commercial stuff and all that. It's about the metrics and why the metrics matter, but also just the emergence, or I haven't been to very many performance conferences, but I've been to a lot of Selenium conferences and meetups, and accessibility is just something that's not like all the good testers developers, we know about it, we want to care for it, but we don't really put in the effort, and it's not really widespread or communicated or shared. So I applaud what you're doing and others are doing in this space to kind of bring attention to it, and yeah, it's good stuff.
Thanks, Stephen. It's
been a long time
actually
coming
since
for the industry.
Since you mentioned that, I wanted to bring Amy had a talk, and he mentioned how accessibility is part of the Mozilla message and commitment, and he definitely wants to bring the importance of accessibility to light and to the forefront even more so within Mozilla and outside of it. So I think I agree with him. I think it's really important and something that should definitely continue.
Excellent. Well, if nobody else has any other questions, thank you once again, Hamlet, for that awesome demo. I look forward to seeing version 1.0 once you're feeling better and able to commit to getting it across the line. And yeah, thank you everybody for listening. And
thank you for having me, Dave.
You're more than welcome. It was great having you, Hamlet. And look out for an invitation to next month's gathering. So thanks everybody. Take care. See you again soon.
Cheers.